What's up, everyone? I have been asked a few questions of how I use RPR for my listing site and to get more listings. I'm going to show you guys really quickly here on my screen a few tips and tricks that I'm using that you might not know or you might not be utilizing in your everyday business, preparing for marketing consultations or listing presentations. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in a property address as if this is going to be our subject property where I'm going to do the listing presentation. Now, you're probably familiar with how to run reports on a listing or do a CMA. But for me and for the purpose of this video, I want to show you guys something a little bit differently. So those are the reports, but what I do is here, you'll see, of course, how confident in the RVM it is based on the number of stars, the Realtors valuation model. But I'm going to show you something here off on the right side of the screen. You'll see there are a couple of key metrics that once I pull up the property, I start looking at immediately. Some of them are the median estimated home values for the zip code, the county, and then the state. But more so than the estimated home values, because that can range or could be off depending on the sources of the numbers, I come down and there are a couple things that I'm looking for immediately. The first three that I'm looking for are the median listing sales price, median public sales price, and the median listing price. And let me explain to you what this is, the median listing sales price. And even if you clicked it down, I don't think this is something that many of us as users are aware of. But once this, if you look at it right here, what this is saying is that this is the median sales price for properties that have been listed. You'll see that have been listed in some type of listing source. And that's usually in our minds, the MLS. So in this zip code is 470. Median public sales price. These are the properties that are selling, and this information is coming into the public records. So this may be a property that is not on the market for sale in the MLS and might be a for sale by owner. If you're going to go into a for sale by owner or a listing appointment and the seller is considering selling themselves, this is something that I'm equipped with to show them, hey, in your zip code, properties that are listed are selling for 60,000 more, 50,000 more in the county, and almost 10,000 more across the state of Florida. So those are the sales prices. And then, of course, the median list prices you'll see here. I have that in here as well. And with this, with the median listing sales price and median listing price, I'm always looking at list price to sales price ratio. So you'll see that here in this zip code, the list price to sales price ratio is more than 100%. That's great. Now, that's for the ones that are publicly listed. Why is this important? I can tell my potential sellers that if we accurately position the property, it's not far-fetched to expect a contract price above the list price, and then that should also let us know another number here, days in RPR, or what we're going to look at is days on market, median days on market. So that's something here. We'll see that this zip code is lower than the average or the median days on market for the county and for the state. So this is just some information that I'm looking at before I do anything with a CMA or a market report. I'm going in, I'm looking at this side information because it helps me position my thoughts on what we're going to be looking for going forward and the potential conversations that I'm going to have with a seller. Now in here, you'll see this is the property specific report, but I love going in and preparing for my marketing consultations by finding out more about the neighborhood. Now, I'm not so much concerned about these graphs and charts here as I am about the people. I usually like to find out about the people and then the economy. So you see summary, housing, people, economy, and quality of life. I'm going to come in and I usually skip all of this information about education levels of the population because I haven't found that it is impactful for my business. This is great information to have, especially for marketing purposes for your business as a whole. But when I'm talking about just for a specific listing, what I do care about are the population and age of children because I want to have some idea of who the possible buyer is for the property that I'm going into market or to take to list. And then I can have this information here. And of course, you'll see it talks about the schools that are nearby. This is one of the great features of RPR that I think is underutilized. I have this information readily available. So when I'm speaking to the sellers, I'm telling them, hey, well, we know that here's the population of children by age group. These are the population of adults, the households with children, and these are the school ratings. We're able to take this information and put that into our marketing if it's a benefit to the seller or to the neighborhood. This next section, household income brackets. In this area where we're looking right now, you'll see that there's a very significant number of households that are making more than $150,000 a year in combined household income. That is good for the sellers. It's also good for the market, and this is why we're seeing is a possible, or we see that it's not unusual for sell prices to go above list prices, because when you have this income as a family, even if the property might not appraise, usually these income brackets have the funds where they can come and pay the difference. Now, here's something that we're going to look at. So this is for the zip code 33029. We're going to go 33020, another Hollywood zip code. The first one was for Pembroke Pines, but now I want us to look at this and begin to understand the difference and how once we know what we're looking at, we can utilize this information better. Here, now we're household income brackets. Now we're looking at this here as far as there are more the highest bracket or the highest group make less than $25,000 a year for household income. That is vastly different from where we just saw in Pembroke Pines. And then look at the number of children and the schools, the school ratings for high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools. Very, very different. And this is what's important when you're thinking about the positioning of the property or thinking about the positioning of your marketing for the property. Who are we going to market to? Can we expect to have as high of a list price to sales price ratio? Probably not when we are marketing a property at that price point. Now we can come into, I'm sorry, I did click on summary. I meant to click on housing. So let's look at the housing needs. Now, I am a nerd when it comes to these stats, but this is how I'm able to make sure or to utilize my marketing dollars better and to compete at levels with larger brokerages. So when we come in here into housing, it tells us median list price versus listing volume, all of the ranges of homes sold. This really helps me lock in and see what price point, and these are done monthly, what price point I'm going to position the potential listing that I have. And if we're right on the fence, let's say that if we are on the fence right here between 200 and right at, let's say, 199 or 205, right? This tells the number of homes in that price range that sold. So sometimes it might be more advantageous for you to position the property a little bit higher if you're right on that fence or right on that line there, as you can see there. And it talks about the median estimated home values for different zip codes. That is something that I can look at really quickly. The sizes of the homes sold, let's say that usually someone says, hey, I have 1,600 square feet or I have 1,900 square feet. That's not always a benefit. It might be where, the desire or the buyers in this area are looking for properties that are, between up to 1,200 square feet. These are things. And then, of course, the age range of the home sold, 60 to 70 years, that's anticipated, that's expected just because of the neighborhood. And then we can look at the number of bedrooms in the home sold. So many areas might say, hey, well, I have a 3-bedroom, a 3-2, what we consider the typical detached single family home. But we're looking at here in this zip code, the majority of the homes have 2 bedrooms or less, 2 or even 1-bedroom properties. So this helps me, once again, when I'm going into a 3-bedroom house and the listing is a 3-2, or if it's a 2-2, I can communicate with them. This is what's selling in the area. This is what buyers are expecting to get. It's not abnormal. We don't have to try to convert a garage into a bedroom because the numbers show, the market stats show that that's what they are anticipating. And then, of course, economy. I don't know how many of you are using these tabs here at the top other than just pulling the reports. But once you go into the economy and it talks about the income per capita, median household income for Hollywood versus Broward County. And then you can see this zip code, 38,000 versus 50,000. This helps us understand what or who our potential occupants are, the amount of income that they're going to be bringing in, and then in turn, we should know their disposable income as a result. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys for this video. Hopefully you found it useful, and different ways that I'm using this information for my marketing consultations with sellers. I'm able to show them this right on the computer or in a printed format. I'll pull this information up on the side, show it to them, and I position myself as more, more detailed than my colleagues. So I hope you guys found the information useful. Leave a comment, question, concern, and I will go into greater detail if necessary on ways that I use RPR. Take care. Love